Sahil. Last week and the week before I was here. I'm probably going to do a summary of Prophet. Was it Noah?
Prophet Nuh alayhi salam.
Yeah, Prophet Noah, and for about 4 or 5 minutes.
MashaAllah. Excellent, excellent. Now, there's something very important which I need to share with both yourself, Sahil, and with listeners as well. And that's I've had some feedback, mashallah, from people. And it's very valid feedback and very correct feedback as well. So I thought I'll make a point of mentioning this to all the listeners today. Sometimes when we say the names of prophets, and because of the nature of this program, we're mentioning prophets' names all the time. Sometimes when we say the names of prophets, it's quite important that we show
Alayhi salam.
them. Very good. Yes, it's very important we show them the due respect. And so I was told, it was nothing to do with you. So I was told that sometimes I was saying, for example, I was saying Nuh, and that's wrong. I shouldn't. I should say Nuh alayhi salam, and ideally I should be saying Hadrat Nuh alayhi salam. So, inshallah ta'ala, I want listeners please to rest assured that even though some of the readings I do, it does to mention a prophet's name just by the name and it doesn't go on further. But I will make a conscious effort to ensure that we pay our beloved prophets of Allah.
Because they taught us how to behave.
This is it, yes. And so it's very, very important that we therefore have the right approach when we take their names.
And show them respect.
So today, inshallah, we will be saying Nuh alayhi salam, and Hud alayhi salam, and Adam alayhi salam, etc., etc. And when we have the name of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, okay, we don't just say Muhammad and stop there. Alhamdulillah. Right, okay. So let's carry on with the story, listeners. The story we had last week was the story of Prophet Hud, and what I want to do is really restart that from the beginning again. So we're in a position whereby we can catch the whole idea of where we were going with that story. What was Prophet Hud alayhi salam about? Which people was he sent to, and what was the involvement and what were the events going on during that time? So let's start our reading, inshallah. And then Sahil, I want you to come in later on with a reminder from what we did last week, and we'll have some discussion around that as well.
Okay.
Jazakallah khair. Okay. So Allah blessed the descendants of Nuh alayhi salam, and they spread over the earth. One community from them was called Ad. They were strong men with bodies like iron. They conquered everyone and no one was able to conquer them. They did not fear anyone but were feared by everyone. Allah blessed the Ad in everything. Their camels and sheep filled the hills and valleys. Their horses filled the streets and footpaths of their cities. Their children filled the houses. When the sheep and camel of the Ad went out to pasture, they made a very beautiful sight. When the children went out in the morning to play, they also made a very beautiful sight. The land of the Ad was a fertile green land full of gardens and springs. But the Ad were not grateful to Allah for all these blessings. They forgot the story of the flood, which they had heard from their fathers and whose traces they saw in their land. They forgot why Allah had sent the flood against the community of Nuh alayhi salam. They began to worship the idols as the community of Nuh alayhi salam had done. They carved them out of stone with their own hands and then prostrated themselves before them and worshipped them. They asked them for what they needed, prayed to them and sacrificed to them. They were following in the footsteps of Nuh alayhi salam's community. Their intelligence did not keep them from worshipping idols. Their cleverness in the things of the world did not guide them in religion. The strength of the Ad became a curse for them and for the people because they did not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and did not believe in the next world. What was to stop them from acting unjustly, from being tyrants and wronging people? They did not think anyone was above them. They did not fear any reckoning or punishment. They were no better than wild animals. The high and great among them would wrong the low, and the strong among them would live off the weak. When they were angry, they were like mad elephants, who kill at whatever they meet in their way. When they made war, they destroyed every living thing. When they entered a village, their land, they laid waste to it, and made its mighty people lowly. The weak were terrified of their evil and fled from their injustice. Their strength was a curse for them and for others. That is what happens when any people who do not fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do not believe in the next world. So Sahil, we're describing the people of Hud and how these people basically were very arrogant. And they had a lot of wealth, they had a lot of blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But they weren't able to focus and think about these blessings and these good things being from Allah.
They forgot about how Noah tried to teach.
That's
Doesn't
right.
that make Noah just like Adam, everybody's great grandfather, because he sent a great flood, destroyed everybody except Noah and his followers. So basically, everybody's either a descendant from Noah and his followers, but sadly they went astray.
Yeah, I mean, you are right. But what we don't know is if everybody on planet Earth were killed in the flood. So it could well have been that there were other descendants of Prophet other Adam alayhi salam, who were in other parts of the world who didn't get destroyed in the flood. So, but you're right. It could well be that the only family that was left over was the followers of Nuh alayhi salam, and so therefore we would be the descendants of Nuh alayhi salam as well. Right. Let's carry on with this then. The Ad did nothing but eat and drink, play and amuse themselves. They competed with each other in building high castles and spacious houses. They wasted their wealth on water, clay and stones. Whenever they saw an empty place or some high ground, they built a tall castle on it. They built houses as if they were going to live forever and never die. They built castles without any need for them, while some other people could not find anything to eat or drink. The poor among them could not find anywhere to live, while the houses of the rich were empty. Anyone who saw them and saw their castles would know straight away that they did not believe in the next world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to send the messenger to the Ad. Allah does not like his slaves to disbelieve. He does not like cruelty and corruption in the earth. The Ad did not use their intelligence for anything except eating, drinking and playing and amusing themselves in building houses. Their intelligence was wasted because they did not use it on religion. They did not understand, and so they worshipped stones. Allah wanted to send the Ad a messenger from among themselves to guide them, someone who would know and whose words they would understand. Hud was that messenger. He was born into a noble family and grew up intelligent and virtuous. So, what we learn from that so far is that Prophet Hud alayhi salam was sent because he was from amongst the people. Now, why do you think that was important? Why couldn't Allah send an angel or send a jinn?
Because, like, if you said they wouldn't believe in an angel or a jinn, because jinn and angels can't eat or anything, and they would say, "Well, you can't eat." Whereas Noah, he can eat and drink just like all the rest of them.
Nuh alayhi salam.
Alayhi salam. Could do everything like a human, and he was born into a noble family, and he was Hud was kind-hearted.
Mashallah. So in a sense, it's very easy for Allah Ta'ala to send a jinn or to send an angel, and as soon as the people saw that, they would believe straight away. But then people would say, well, you can do these things, you can say these things, you can live that life because you're not human. You're not like us. And so you don't understand our predicaments. You don't understand our problems. So in order to avoid that, Allah Ta'ala always sent his messengers from among human beings, so that human beings could show the example of how to live your life and how to do the right things.
Because they would follow human beings like Hud alayhi salam.
Exactly. That's it. You got it. So very easy to send an angel, but then people will criticize and say, well, it's easy for you because you're an angel. You can do these things. We're humans. We can't. So this way, that excuse is taken away. Another human being from among the people, from within their communities, was going out to them. And inshallah, that is the way Allah Ta'ala sought to guide us and inshallah give us hidayat. Let's move on to the next nasheed, which is Main Zahir. Mahir Zain, sorry. Allahi Allah kiya karo.
अल्लाह ही अल्लाह किया करो, दुख न किसी को दिया करो, जो दुनिया का मालिक है नाम उसी का लिया करो। अल्लाह ही अल्लाह, अल्लाह ही अल्लाह, अल्लाह ही अल्लाह किया करो, दुख न किसी को दिया करो, जो दुनिया का मालिक है नाम उसी का लिया करो। अल्लाह ही अल्लाह, अल्लाह ही अल्लाह। Just like a sunrise can't be denied, no, just like the river will find the sea. Oh Allah, you're here and you're always near, and I know without a doubt that you always hear my prayer. सच की राहों पे चला करो, दुख न किसी को दिया करो, जो दुनिया का मालिक है नाम उसी का लिया करो। अल्लाह ही अल्लाह, अल्लाह ही अल्लाह, अल्लाह ही अल्लाह किया करो, दुख न किसी को दिया करो, जो दुनिया का मालिक है नाम उसी का लिया करो। अल्लाह ही अल्लाह, अल्लाह ही अल्लाह। So many bright stars like diamonds in the sky. Oh, it makes me wonder how anyone can be blind to all the signs so clear. Just open your eyes and I know without a doubt you will surely see the light, the light, the light.
तेरी ही दुनिया तेरी ज़मीन, ये कहकर शाहे तू है करीम मेरे मौला। सुन ले दुआ हम बेबस हैं तेरे बिना, रोशन कर जहां।
ऐसा जुल्म न किया करो, दुख न किसी को दिया करो, जो दुनिया का मालिक है नाम उसी का लिया करो। अल्लाह ही अल्लाह, अल्लाह ही अल्लाह, अल्लाह ही अल्लाह किया करो, दुख न किसी को दिया करो, जो दुनिया का मालिक है नाम उसी का लिया करो। अल्लाह ही अल्लाह, अल्लाह ही अल्लाह, अल्लाह ही अल्लाह किया करो, दुख न किसी को दिया करो, जो दुनिया का मालिक है नाम उसी का लिया करो। अल्लाह ही अल्लाह, अल्लाह ही अल्लाह, अल्लाह ही अल्लाह किया करो, दुख न किसी को दिया करो, जो दुनिया का मालिक है नाम उसी का लिया करो। अल्लाह ही अल्लाह ही अल्लाह किया करो, दुख न किसी को दिया करो, जो दुनिया का मालिक है नाम उसी का लिया करो। अल्लाह ही अल्लाह, अल्लाह ही अल्लाह, अल्लाह ही अल्लाह किया करो, दुख न किसी को दिया करो, जो दुनिया का मालिक है नाम उसी का लिया करो। अल्लाह ही अल्लाह, अल्लाह ही अल्लाह। Just like a sunrise can.
MashaAllah, that was Mahir Zain, Allahi Allah Kiya Karo. Okay, listeners, so we'll carry on with the story. Hud stood up among his people and said, "O my people, worship Allah. You have no God except Him." He said, "O people, how can you worship stones and not worship the one who created you? O people, how can you worship stones today which you had carved for yourselves only yesterday? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you and provided for you. He blessed you in your property, children, crops and cattle. He made your rulers after the people of Nuh alayhi salam. He made you rulers of after the people of Nuh alayhi salam and gave you physical strength. Part of what you owe for these blessings is to worship Allah and not to worship anything but Him. The dog to which you throw a bone does not leave you and will follow you like a shadow. Have you ever seen a dog freely leave his master and go to someone else? Have you ever seen any animal prostrate before an idol? Is man lower than an animal or higher than an animal? So Hud alayhi salam gave some very pertinent examples there and explained to the people how even an animal like a dog understands to be obedient and understands that where my provision comes from and where I should be obedient to. Yet human beings, the people of Ad, they were creating all these massive castles and buildings and houses and everything else. And nonetheless, they still wouldn't believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were still focusing on their idols. Sahil, do you want to come in there?
Yeah, so he's making a really good point there. If you're prostrating to idols, it's not like you'd see a cat going to an idol. That would be so funny, because a cat knows where its loyalty stands, but then a human praying to an idol which they made themselves. It's like a cat imagine a cat knitting and then praying to what they knitted or something, or a dog. So he's saying that cats don't do that, do they?
Exactly.
Or dogs, right. Any animal wouldn't do that. They always go to their master, and they're the person who trained them and stuff. And so, like, are humans? He's saying, are humans not as good as them? Not as good as animals, or are they better than animals? So he's making a good point there that animals then would are more dedicated to Allah than humans, and even though humans might have them as pets, still they're better.
Yeah. Exactly, you've got it. So the key example, and this was Hud's wisdom, Prophet Hud alayhi salam's wisdom, in that he was able to use that example to say to them, look, these animals understand the difference between right and wrong, and you as human beings who are supposed to be more intelligent don't. So Hud worked hard to counsel his people. He called them to wisdom and kind-heartedness. Oh, my people, I was your brother and friend yesterday. Don't you know me? My brothers, why do you fear me and flee from me? I will not make you any poorer at all. O my people, I do not ask for you for any wealth. My wage falls only on Allah. O my people, what do you have to fear if you believe in Allah? Allah will not lessen your riches at all. If you believe in Him, Allah will bless you in your provision and increase it. Hud alayhi salam went on to say, my people, why are you surprised at my message? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not speak to each people individually, telling each one to do this or to do that. Allah sends to every people a man from among them to speak to them and advise them. Do you wonder that a reminder from your Lord should come to you by means of a man from among you, and that he may warn you? So, mashallah, Prophet Hud alayhi salam, through this conversation with the people, was explaining to them that it is a man who will come to you. And in the same way, in our time, mashallah, we had Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who was our prophet and who came to give us the same message, the same warnings, the same ideas, because in our times, we too are behaving like the people of Ad. Well, some people amongst our society are behaving like the people of Ad. So, the Ad could not think of an answer. So they said, our gods are angry with you. You have been afflicted by a mental disease. A curse from the gods has struck you. Hud alayhi salam said, these idols are only stones. They cannot help or hurt anybody. They neither speak, nor hear, nor see. They do not possess good or evil. They have no power to bring harm or benefit for anyone. You yourselves do not possess any benefit or harm for me. I do not believe in your gods, and I do not fear them. I am quit of what you associate, and I do not fear you either. Try your guide on me. Altogether, truly, I have put my trust in Allah, my Lord and your Lord. Chapter 11, Ayat 56. Everything is under His control. Not even a single leaf falls from a tree without His permission. Subhanallah. So, Prophet Hud alayhi salam in the Quran here is giving us a very, very relevant example and saying everything in the whole universe is under the control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even if you were to look at one leaf, if you think about autumn time, you see millions and millions of leaves all over the place. But if you think about one leaf falling from one tree, that also only occurs with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. MashaAllah, it shows you how amazing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, in that everything that's going on within our universe and everything that all functions happens according to a certain phase and a certain cycle and a certain time of year or time of day or whatever. And all of that is controlled, all of that is organized by our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Alhamdulillah, we're going to carry on with the story of Hud, but after the break, Saleh, you're going to come back and you're going to talk to us about the abridged version of Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam and the story we looked at 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay.
So, just after the break, inshallah, listeners, we'll be back.